Hey everybody, I'm going to go ahead and talk through week 2 assignment that I have pulled up on my screen here. This week we're focusing on again, both the historical background of the Gospel of Mark, which is really important to interpreting Scripture in an accurate way. We can't really apply Scripture accurately until we interpret it through the lens of the initial author and really the initial hearers of Scripture, the initial audience that the author was writing to, the circumstances that they were in, the context that they were in, the problems that they were facing personally, culturally at that time. The more we can understand about that historical context, the more that we can accurately interpret the actual principles of the biblical writers and therefore see how those then transfer or translate to our 21st century lives. So that is what we will do this week. This assignment, I think, is pretty straightforward, really. In part 1, which you can structure this like a paper, you can use that APA template paper that was loaded in the news feed at the beginning of the course. And so you can have your APA title page, and then you can just divide your paper into 3 sections. Part 1 is going to be based on your reading of some of the historical aspects of the Gospel of Mark that you'll find in that Beacon Bible Commentary textbook for the course. Gives you the page numbers that you need to read, and then allow your paragraphs to be formulated around these bullet points. Okay, if you kind of walk through that section of the paper and address those 3 things, you're gonna do well. Notice the citations, right? You want to reference, you want to cite the reference here as you're writing through this, okay? Then in part 2, I do not need to see the actual download with your highlights, okay? I don't need to see that part. That's for your own benefit in studying, seeing what it is to read through the Scripture, highlight things, circle things, underline things, however you want to mark that up. But then from that, we want to see 300 words. What are some of these beginning observations, that are emerging to you as once again you are really reading now chapter 1 of the Gospel of Mark. You read the whole book of Mark, the whole Gospel of Mark last week multiple times. Now we're really digging into Mark chapter 1. And so what are some of those initial things that are beginning to stand out to you in that chapter? And then in the third section of your assignment, again, this is all one paper with just 3 parts. Part 3 is not really in a paragraph form as much as just kind of a list of giving each chapter a title. So, our editors of Scripture will sometimes give titles at the beginning of a section or a chapter of Scripture, or even sections within the chapter. This is just a helpful exercise, again, to demonstrate that you really are absorbing the text yourself, that you're not just going off of the editor's titles, but that you're kind of maybe even titling them based on the flow that you're starting to recognize in the Gospel of Mark, and that you are clear about what the content of each of those chapters is. And so that's kind of what this section is about. So again, this part 3 does not need to be in paragraph form. It can just literally be the chapter with the title, and then I guess that's really it. But again, don't forget to click on your rubric link and just kind of look through to make sure that notice the references. It wants more references to earn an A, okay? So, make sure that you are looking through this. This assignment this week is more straightforward, I feel like. Blessings as you get into the Gospel of Mark a little bit more and dig into this text. We'll talk to you later. Have a great week.